Hello, everybody. Welcome to Zach the Brat's blah, blah, blah. Now, in today's episode, we are going to be dissecting and talking about my favourite album of all time, and that would be Renaissance by Beyonce. Now, listen, I'm very much a creative person. I like to be inspired. I like me flashy gashy. I like me pizzazz. I like the glitz. I love the glamour, but I love fucking music. Honestly. So let's talk about Renaissance. What am I looking for? Tell me what am I looking for? Shout at your phone, shout at your car speakers. What's it? I need to pay a homage, because my podcast is very much an introduction to myself and stuff that I enjoy and that I love. A little bit of my stories, which if you're listening to this recently, trust me, this is a brand new episode, fresh from the fucking cutting room floor. Because let me tell you now, people are trying to silence me, guys. They're trying to silence me. Oh, yeah, they're trying to silence me. But I'll have to ruffle some more feathers in the next couple of episodes. But let's get back to Renaissance, shall we? So Renaissance is one of my favourite albums of all time. It is the creme de la creme. It is the cream of the crop. It is the je ne sais quoi of albums. Now, if you've been following me for a while on TikTok, Zach the Brat, make sure you go follow me. That's ZACDIBRAT. Absolutely. Come and join the madhouse. If you've been following me for a while, I have shoved this album down your throats for the last 2.5 years, and I will continue to do so until the day I die. Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. And I know there's a little bit of a hoo-ha with P. Diddy and Jay-Z and the Beyonce stuff, but we can separate Jay-Z and P. Diddy from Beyonce. Can we do that for this episode, please? Thank you. Because I'm having a hard time digesting it all. And honestly, we'll just grab your coffee, have a cigarette, have a puff of your Lost Mary or whatever your guilty pleasures or your doctor's tonic is, and let's just dissect ourselves into it, shall we? Yes! So let's cast our minds back to 2019. Should we go back? Yeah, let's go back to December 2019, shall we? Where were we in our life? Where were you? Ask yourself where you were. How were you feeling? Like, none of us had any idea or clue of what's to come in the next 2 years.
From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home. Stop the disease spreading between households. That is why people will only be allowed to leave their home for the following very limited purposes.
Just did Dress to Impress. Yeah, I just did Dress to Impress. So I was looking forward to my glittering TV career, and off the back of that, I had managed to secure a documentary with a well-known TV channel. And it was the concept was all my own and stuff. So my dreams were looking rather shiny. And then I went to Tenerife in January with my best friend and the guy that I'd met off Dress to Impress. Oh my God, he was an a-hole. And then when we got to the hotel, this was like the first sign of the pandemic. When we got to the hotel, we had to check in to another one because it was all a bit like weird, and they'd closed the hotel. And excuse me, I'm making this like raw and edited. I'm gonna be like coughing throughout this because I've got a sore throat today. I'm talking about COVID and I've got COVID. So what was it? We'd checked into the hotel and like it was just dead. It was like a ghost town, and it was just as diagnoses were being made and people were coming down with COVID and the numbers were flying up. Anyway, we had our holiday and we came back, and a week after we came back, they announced the lockdown. So there was no new music, no new visuals from anybody, no concerts, nothing. Like, we all went into lockdown, and it was like being under house arrest. And I got my show pulled from me that I was going to do with this TV channel, because obviously mine was at the back of the list, so certain stuff didn't make the cut. So other TV shows got taken, like production and that got halted filming. So I felt like I'd not just lost my freedom, but I'd lost the chance to make something of myself. So I got massively depressed and I relapsed and I started using again. And I was just in a miserable place. And I remember I was just ended up checking into a homeless hostel, and life was just grey. It was just grey. And ever since then, other good stuff's happened, but we'll save up for another episode because I'll just be here all day chatting away and it will end up being a 3.5 hour podcast. Yeah, and your kids will be starving in the back of the baby seats and missing the school runs. Let's skip all the grim stuff, shall we? And let's fast forward ourselves to July 29th, 2022. 2 years later, after we're trying to figure stuff out with ourselves and our depressing lives, we haven't danced, we haven't had a bet. Well, some of us became borderline alcoholics in the pandemic, not gonna lie. Hello. Hello, Jackie. So yeah, come to July, my social media was popping. And Beyonce announced the Renaissance, her big comeback after she'd released, I think it was Lemonade before Renaissance, and then she had the Lion King soundtrack, which was a nice little filler. And it was just, it was like a punch in the face. It was a big slap in the face, a good wake-up slap, you know, like, Beyonce hit me. I love it. But when I first heard it, I was like, what is this? I was like, I like this. It was very 90s house inspired. It's a very fun album, a very confident album that makes you feel, because that's what I love about music. It can take you back through like space and time, you know. It can take you back to a core memory that you had, I don't know, when you were sat at the back of the bus listening to garage music at school, like, or, you know, that breakup you had with that first love. And music has such a way of connecting to you. And music, again, if you've listened to my first episode, I explained like what an impact music had on me. And it was just, it was the whole production of it, and I felt a certain type of way when I was listening to it. And it just made me feel like, oh yeah, like I'm a bad bitch. Like, what is this? And Beyonce's got such a way of turning sounds into their own genres. Like, if you listen to Renaissance, I wouldn't even call it a dance album. It's like a entity in itself, you know. It was produced by some of my favorite producers. You got The Dream, Symbolic One, Honey Dijon, who's a trans DJ, Beam, Tricky Stewart, Blood Pop, Skrillex, Hit Boy, like the list goes on. And then to have features on it like Grace Jones, like it mixes the old with the new. And I'm not calling Grace Jones old. I'm calling her iconic. Yes, I am. But it was just how the whole album was built. It was how it was built, how it was made, how it was rolled out, the little Easter eggs in it. And for someone to just release music with no visuals, as a massive fan of the Beehive myself, let me tell you now, there ain't nothing more frustrating. Like, we know she works, but she needs to get to work because we need the visuals. But her message as a creator was like, no, I want you to listen to the music and create your own Renaissance. And hello, what is this, please? No, sorry, that was my phone interrupting there. I do apologise. God, this is quite a rusty edit, this one. We'll have none of the Snapchats, thank you very much. Anyway. That was my phone. 1 second. Sorry, I just had to reply to my boyfriend. It's absolutely driving me mad. I'm going to kick into the curb. No, in all seriousness, though, from the whole production, from the way it made me feel when I first listened to it, like, we're going to go through track by track, and we're going to dissect it. We're not going to listen to all the songs, but just like, when I'm That Girl kicks in, like, oh. Oh, the power. The power. Oof. Other bitch. Like, these motherfuckers ain't stopping me. Listen. Like, picture this, booting a door off open, wind in your hair, slow motion. There's a glow around you. That aura is glowing. The light that lights up the night. The supreme element, girlfriend. Are you ready to serve? Are you ready to slay? Like, listen, it's just like, you're listening to it and you're like, yes, I am. Like, and this is after me spending like 2 years, in the deepest, darkest depression after having my dreams snatched from me under a rug, you know, because of this bullshit pandemic. And she delivered. And also, it was one of those ones where you could just create your own reality. You could create a fantasy. You could create whatever you wanted. It allowed us as fans to escape, and I think that's what she was getting to. Because where we spent like the last 2 years in the pandemic and lockdown and not being able to see people, have a drink, socialize, dance, you know, and music is the best medicine. She came out, gave us a slap round the face, told us to get over it and said, get your fucking dancing shoes on because we're going partying. And party we did. And I think from a creative's perspective, like just again, how it was built and produced, to the Easter eggs, to the story behind it, because there's 3 acts in the trilogy. So Renaissance is Act 1. You've got Cowboy Carter, her latest drop, which is Act 2, and then Act 3 is another one. And what Beyonce is doing is she's reclaiming genres that were originally pioneered and made by Black artists, like country music. If you look into the history of country music, like, you'd be very surprised that a lot of country singers were Black. The first country singers were Black. And it's the same with Renaissance. Like, Renaissance pays homage to the Black and queer pioneers of those genres, from like 90s dance, voguing, ballroom. And it really does explore like escaping and being self-assured, expressing yourself, the artistry in it's like a science project. And the conspiracy theorists will say it's got witchcraft in it. Well, call me Sabrina, bitch, because I loved every fucking minute of it. All 62 minutes of the album. Yes, absolutely. All 62 minutes of the album I loved. Loved. Yes, I did. And it had such acclaim from critics as well. Like, the critics loved it. It was just one of those albums. And especially at a time in my life when everything wasn't so great mentally and emotionally. But that was just for me to figure it out. That isn't like a sob story. There's no sob story there. It's just human nature, isn't it? It's just life, adulting. It's one of those things. And sometimes music can really help you escape that. Now, I was working in a coffee shop at the time, and my social media was doing okay. And it was getting better and better. There's a few controversies around Beyonce myself, absolutely. But what was it? Then she announced the Renaissance World Tour, and that was just, for me, that was a game changer, because I went twice. So I went to the 3rd London show, and again, I was going through some bits. I'd fallen out with a couple of friends who I classed as friends, who stabbed me in the back massively. And I wanted to take some of my followers away with me and take them to the concert to enjoy it with me, to show them, like, I love showing people bits of me or getting to know me, you know, because I have so much faith that they'll enjoy it and they'll think how I think, you know, and just to give them that once in a lifetime opportunity. Anyway, these friends that I had wanted me to fix the giveaway, and I refused, and it just never happened, which was a shame. But anyway, I'll take you to Cowboy Carter. Don't you worry about that. Because listen, the turds flush themselves out. These people are no longer around me. The very people that are trying to silence me, actually. But what do we say? We absolutely pay them no mind. We pay them no mind, and they can literally they can literally yes, they can. But going back to the concert, I went there on the day, and a few people had called me stressed in the build up to the concert. And I remember I was just thinking, oh, I'm not in the mood. And I walked through Tottenham Stadium doors, and I see the stage, and I was in the Club Renaissance section, and I was just like, I was in awe. And it was honestly one of the most life-changing, inspirational. It sounds cheesy when I say this as well. Like, Beyonce literally came up on stage to Dangerously in Love, and I was like, I had this goddess in front of me. I was like, this is, we're here again. And if no one knows, I've actually met Beyonce 3 times. The first time was at a record signing back in the 2000s when they released Lose My Breath. And then the second time was Charlie's Angels premiere when I won tickets from Capital FM. And then the third time was at the Lemonade Tour, the Formation World Tour. And then this time, obviously I didn't meet her, but I interacted with her. She's so good with her fans. And I just remember at a time when I was so over creating, because I had these toxic people around me that were just sucking the fun out of everything. Like, they was like sucking my soul from me, you know? And I was just, it was that one day that completely changed my mindset and my work ethic as well. Cause I was like, I don't want to put on a stadium tour, but I want something of that quality, whether it'll be a visual I make or an audio I make, you know? I wanted to find that je ne sais quoi. I was going through my own renaissance. And if no one knows what renaissance means, it means rebirth. But it was just one of those, how do I say it? Out of body experiences. And I came back from it and I had such a different take on my life. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to go for it. Fuck the lot of them. Fuck the naysayers. And I had like a craving. I had a craving to go back. So I'd done everything in my power and worked as hard as I could. And I was like, I want to go on this date. I need to go this. And the only dates that were left were America. Like, literally only America. And I ended up going to Kansas City, which was the last date of the Renaissance tour. And it was my first time in America as well. And I've been a naughty boy in the past, nothing too bad, just to self-defense that led me to do a year in prison, but that's another podcast episode, do you know what I mean? So I never thought I'd get to go to America, and it's always been one of my dreams to go to America as well. And it happened. And if you rewind to 2 years ago when I was in a homeless shelter, from 2022 this is, so if you rewind back to 2019, and to fast forward 2 years later when I've got my own house, I'm traveling to America to go and see the love of my life, you just couldn't write it. I felt truly, truly blessed. And it was one of the first times that I genuinely felt so happy, like genuine happiness. Like, she came out on Dangerously in Love. I was like, shit, man, I'm in America. But my first impressions of America, the energy was off. Like, you know me, I'm a spiritual king. The energy was off. It was just off. You know, I had my reservations, and it was just, for me, it was very much, it was very off. I didn't know what to think of it, but it was a good experience, and it was a different experience to have. And I wouldn't change it for the world. Like, I honestly just had the best time. And even now, after she's dropped her second act, I can't get over this act 1. I can't get over it. Like, when the second song, when she comes out, what's the second one? I think it's Cozy. This a reminder. Yes. Oh, just listen. Like, it's a performer's dream. The choreography, the music, the beats. Oh, just, oh. Do you know what I mean? Like, listen, I hope you're feeling what I'm feeling. Like, music is a universal language. Everyone's got an eclectic taste in music. Everyone's got something that hits their vibe, you know. But for me, Renaissance, the whole concept of it is just about freeing yourself and loving yourself and appreciating yourself, flaws and all, you know. And it's one of those ones that it wasn't just an album for music. It sparked conversations. It was a definite moment in pop culture, you know. Like, it took inspiration from Crystal Waters. She helped make mainstream house music. No, she made house music go mainstream in the 90s. And then you got Ron Carroll, who's another house DJ from Chicago. Like, she was pulling out all she when she creates something, she goes into the depth, she goes into the research, and she takes bits and pieces. People call her plagiarism. No, she gets inspired by other artists' work. She gets it, you know. She's a storyteller with her music, with her visuals, and it's wizardry. It is magic. Like, because when I went to the first show in London, I the cravings. I can't. It was like I was under a spell, like, for real. And like the fashion, there was, oh God, Jesus. I think there was over like 280 looks on that tour because she had a different outfit every opener. Budget. She had budget, big bags and budget. Yes, she did. And let me tell you now, she had a hand in writing every one of those motherfucking songs. Yes, she did. But it's just how, if you listen to the live album, which is only available through YouTube to MP3 convert art, it's not available on all mainstream music platforms. So you have to do a little, like, yeah, under. Do you know what I mean? Do you want a burnt CD for a £5? But the difference between the live album and the mainstream album is the live album is like its own genre as well. How she does it, I will never know. But I just love Renaissance. And for me, how it didn't win Album of the Year, I will never fucking know at the Grammys. That's a fix. We need to do like a conspiracy podcast. You know, we need to do a conspiracy podcast where we talk about like the music industry and that. But I'm only just starting out. I'm only getting there, so I don't really want to get booyaked by big black SUVs. Do you know what I mean? I'll get them turning up to my house, coming out of these big old black trucks and being like, oi, pew. And then I've died of an aneurysm. You know, there's a dodgy world out there. Is Beyonce Illuminati, though? I mean, if she is, let me know so I can get my dad sacrificed. Because, listen, I'll absolutely booyaka him out to get where I need to be because I can't stand the man. I might have to edit that bit out. He's already crying about the first episode, you know what I mean? God, let me tell my truth, old man. God. But yeah, so for me, The Renaissance was a massively inspiring album. And it just, if you haven't heard it, please go listen to it. It might not be your thing, it might, but hopefully it will spark something in you. Like it sparked something in me. And just when I listen to music, I listen to the sounds, I listen to the lyrics. Like I try and look deeper. It's like I shut my eyes and I'm going through this like wormhole tunnel and I finally get to like the root of the meaning. Like that's what I love, dissecting albums and dissecting music and even visuals. Like I don't watch films like a normal person because I'm like, oh, that transition was a bit dodgy. Oh, they're out of shot. Like I can spot the smallest microphone in the biggest shot. Like I'm telling you, my eye for it, man. I should be an X-Man, a Beyonce X-Man. Yes, the Beyonce X-Man. But yeah, and then Cowboy Carter for me. I'm still trying to get my Cowboy Carter energy. But if you ask me my favourite songs off Renaissance, oh, that's a tough one. The introduction to Cuff It live. Just listen to this. Imagine hearing that live. And it just, oh. Mm-hmm. Oh. Voice of an angel. Like, live albums hit so different. And then just imagine you're in a stadium with 50,000 people. The music's about to drop. This was like the song of the year for everyone, even people who weren't fans of Beyonce. Even people who weren't fans of Beyonce were all over Cuff It Like a Rash. You know? Wait for it. She loves a horn. Hey! See what I mean? Oh, I'm just there bopping now. I feel like falling in love. I wish I could play it all, but, you know, copyright reasons. I'll be like, absolutely not. No, Beyonce will sue me for all the coins that I do not have, you know? But Cuff It's like the mainstream one that everybody loves. But for me, my favourite one, this is a bad bitch tune, this one. Oh, you know me, I love some Pure Honey. Ladies and gentlemen, I present House of Renaissance, Zachary. It's just such a sexy tune. And just let me fast forward it a bit. Oh. You should have heard me singing. Honestly, when I was like, feel like this. You don't love like this. Sweet honey, say, I feel sorry for the girls that were next to me in the concert. They're like, honey, we paid $400 a ticket to hear Beyonce sing, not you screech, bitch. Oh, God. I wish I could dissect it better and use those big pronunciations where, like, I could really educate you on the science of Renaissance. But it's one of those ones, for me, you have to listen to it. You have to feel it in your bones. You know, you just have to put your headphones on. It's one of those albums you can listen to from beginning to finish, like, and I have many times, trust me, thank you. But it's one of those albums, just please do me a favour when you come off this podcast. Listen to it from the start. Find your own Renaissance. Find your own Renaissance. Even if Beyonce's not for you and you can't stand her, just give it a chance and just think, oh, comfortable in my skin, cozy with who I am. I love myself, goddamn cozy. You know, and just, yeah, bust your housework out, start spinning, twirling, you know, drop kick your husbands, tell them it's the whatever. See, Sasha Fierce has taken over my soul. She has taken over my soul, God damn it. But honestly, Renaissance was such a turning point for me, and it's such a very, very important part of where I'm going as well, and it has a massive part to play in my journey and my creative journey. Like, I'll always pay homage to it. And at a time when I was really like having a massive lull and feeling really sluggish and lethargic, and I just couldn't be asked to do anything. And I feel like the day that album came out was like, all right, let's boss it. Let's boss it. Let's go for it. You know, because music really does speak to yourself. No matter what you're going through, it just makes everything better, doesn't it? It just makes everything better. Right. This episode has been another fantastic episode. Thank you for letting me chat shit in front of a microphone about the things that I love. Yes. But your homework today is go and listen to the Renaissance, give it some streams, and then give Cowboy Carter a go if you fancy it. But mentally, I'm still in Renaissance. I've been Zach the Brat. This is blah, blah, blah. God, I love you.